Good afternoon and welcome to the afternoon session of the Landmarks Preservation Commission's public hearing and public meeting of today, Tuesday, August 12th. We are resuming this afternoon with our public hearing agenda, and starting with public hearing item number 1, we are about 20 to 25 minutes behind schedule. And with that, I will turn it over to Deputy Director of Preservation, Emma Waterloo.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. We'll begin this afternoon's Preservation Department public hearing agenda with item number 1. This is LPC 25-10999, an application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Queens, Block 8106, Lot 55, 242-03 Pine Street in the Douglaston Hill Historic District. A neo-colonial style freestanding house designed by John Stewart and built in 1904 to 05. The application is to install solar panels.
Hi, my name's Ellen. I'm here from Empower Solar. I'm representing Bruce and these solar panels on the south-facing roof, which is a street-facing. This is just kind of an aerial view of the house. He is right there in the middle. Other roofs have been fine. It's just this front roof right there on the street. Just to show, he is in the Douglaston Hill Historic District. It is a little off of the Douglaston Historic District. He's in this small area there in that blue box on the bottom. And then I put a star on his house right there. He does have currently 3 small structures, 2 of which the house, the main house, and the garage that we're proposing the panels on. This is the current conditions of the home. It is a dark gray color. So is the roof. It's also dark gray, which didn't compute on some of previous pictures. Where the wood is, that's the back of the house in the backyard. That's going to be behind that wooden fence there. The smaller structure by the truck in the bottom left-hand corner is the garage that has the proposed solar panels there. The meter is on the side there by the fence in the driveway. You can't really see it from the road due to the deck there that's covered where the panels in question are proposed. This is the design. There are 2 different options here. So it's the same design. I just gave 2 options for like how it's viewed. So you can see these 14 panels on the front. It's got the arrow labeled entrance there. That's very close to the street. Those 14 panels are going to put off 4.90 kilowatts, which would be a total of 5,066 kilowatt hours. If we do not add those panels to this project, he would be losing about 51% of his production, and it would not make sense to move forward. So just to show from the top, these are the renderings with the proposed panels. The ones in the backyard are not a problem. It is only these first 14 that are in question. They will be able to be seen, but it looks a lot lighter, the roof from the street, than it is. It's a very clear-cut rectangle array. And here they are again, directly across the street. And we had to go to the sidewalk on the other side of the street because you can't really see it as well right up close. They kind of blend in. So just to show, the panels will be anywhere from 3 to 6 inches off of the roof. There does have to be a 3-foot allowance on the top there of the array for FDNY access. This is just giving some specs of the railing, how we'd be attaching it, how the panels are attached, and just showing a little bit more of how it will be attached to the roof and how far away they are from the main part of the building. So we generally only install critter guards for the safety of the panels. If critters get under there, they can get into the wires, they can dig, they can nest, it can cause fires. We were told that you would most likely suggest a skirt. The skirt is in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. You can see it is aesthetically pleasing. It does come right up to the roof line from the panels it clips on, but it cannot be used with the critter guard, and it does not protect from critters or damage to any of the wires, any of the panels. It is more of a safety hazard, although it is more aesthetically pleasing. We would opt for the critter guard if possible. This is for the conduit run. So the conduit is going to be connecting with the shutoff and combiner down by the meter, which is on the side of the house, but in an area where it will not be street visible. And then it will follow the current conduit from the meter up. It'll hug the soffit and then drop down. The one on the top right is the back roof. And then the front roof will hug, it's coming off the meter to the right. So the top left shows how it will be, and then we can just hug in the panels. You won't even see the conduit from the street. And we are more than willing to paint that white at the top to match the soffit and that dark gray to match the siding, so it blends right in. This is the interior of the garage, and there's a little shot of the exterior. You can see the house in the background. There will be an additional sub panel there. He already has underground running wires that we can just put that in to attach here to the panels on this structure, so we don't have to do any additional trenching. He also would like to have these panels go to an EV charger, which would charge his car and with the solar, so he doesn't have to go into the electric at all. And then finally, this is just our spec sheet for the panels that we are proposing. They are a black on black panel. They are the 350 watt SunPower Maxion. SunPower is no longer in business, so Maxion would be the type. But that's all that we have for those panels right now. Do you guys have any?
Yes, Commissioner Ginsburg.
I have a few questions. So on page, I think it's 10,
This.
at the top, you have panels that look different than on the right side here. And the top panels, I think, fit better with the roof. The other question with that is, can the streaking be the other way, or is that,
So that streaking is just from water.
okay?
That's just from a rainstorm. That's actually an LPC job in Queens that we did last year. That has the critter guard. You can tell it's like, you can't really see it from the bottom of the panel. So we included that. Other panels, that's actually directly from the website of the skirt.
Okay, then the next question on the critter guard is, can you paint it the color of the roof so it's basically invisible?
Yeah. I don't see why that would be a problem.
Right. So those panels and the panels on the right are the same panel, basically.
The panels that are with the skirt are from that skirt website. Those
Okay.
have a white backdrop, so those would not be the panels we use.
So they look more like the
They would
ones.
look more like the
Okay,
dark panels. They would be the black on black, so you don't see the crossing.
thank you.
Other questions? All right, well, we'll move to public testimony and we may have more
Go back to
questions.
your
after.
elevation. Elevation of the building. No, you have
Elevation
a rendering of the elevation. One of your first slides, I think. That one. What is that white, go back, that white edge, that framing white edge, what is that?
That's the roof.
The
of
roof
the-
itself?
Oh, yeah, the black are the panels. And then the roof, that's how the roof looks in the sun.
But when, go back to the building without the panels. Oh, you have a white edge
Like these ones, how it looks now.
from the top. Oh,
And just see it.
Put it right there? Right there. Yeah.
Right there.
So the roof is framed in what?
Leading edge.
Probably
Then-
white
The
fascia
rest of it's
underneath
just,
the gutter.
it's just.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, we're going to move to public testimony. Jeremy Woodoff.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Jeremy Woodoff, speaking for the Victorian Society, New York. The solar panels proposed for the roof of the rear porch and upper part of the gambrel roof of the garage are relatively unobtrusive from public streets. We find them to be appropriate. On the other hand, the panels proposed for the front porch roof will be very visible and would significantly detract from the appearance of the main facade of the house. This part of the installation we feel would be architecturally inappropriate and should be omitted from the proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the room who'd like to speak on this item? Noting that there isn't, I will turn it over to Michelle Craren to see if we have any remote participants.
The homeowner would like to speak.
I'll come back to you afterwards, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Carroll. Anyone in the Zoom who would like to testify, please use the raise hand function. Okay. Kaylee Johnson, I promoted you to panelist.
Hello, Commissioners. This is Kaylee Johnson speaking on behalf of the Historic Districts Council. HDC finds the solar panels on the street-facing facade to be inappropriate due to their visibility. They should be placed in a more discreet location, such as a secondary facade. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. If anyone else would like to testify, please use the raise hand function at this time. Being no additional hands raised, I'll note that Queens Community Board 11 recommends approval, and the Douglaston and Little Neck Historical Society recommends denial of the panels on the front facade.
Okay, thank you. So now I'd like to turn back to you and give you the opportunity to respond to the comments or come right up here and just, because we're on Zoom, we have to make an effort to speak into the mic or people on Zoom can't hear you. So
Okay,
just-
good afternoon. My name is Bruce Stewart. I am the owner of the house requesting the solar panels. I'm also my great uncle was the builder and designer of the house. And I moved back there in the year 2000 and put extensive work into renovating it. So I don't do this lightly. I also want to let everybody know that I read all the rules on this, and I was encouraged by one of my local elected officials to go for the solar, because now it's fully allowable in the historic district. I will grant you, I would prefer that the south-facing roof was in the back, away from the street. I do understand that quite well. I would also like to mention that I've spoken to a electrical engineer who's very active in the solar energy industry. And he says I should emphasize to you that this is an interim project, that you could take this off in a half day, go off much easier than on. And his point is that within 10 years, you will probably not be seeing these anymore, because there's going to be entire roof systems where it won't even be obvious. I would be amenable to that. I would certainly do that if I could now, but I can't. And what I'm trying to do is the right thing for the environment. I'm big in the environmental, I don't know what, local environmental stuff. And for my children and grandchildren, because I don't know, that now I'm not going to get too political. It's just my feelings, but I would also like to make myself available to answer any questions, should any of you ladies or gentlemen have any.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any further questions, commissioners?
No?
No, I think not.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. So if there are no other questions, we'll close the hearing and move to our discussion. Commissioner Jefferson, would you make a motion to close the hearing? Thank you. Vice Chair Master, would you second that motion?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the hearing is closed and we'll have a discussion on these solar panels. And I would note that the commission as a body has embraced the idea of solar panels on row houses as well as freestanding houses. And in fact, we've had many discussions where you all have said, it's great that you actually can see the solar panels and know that these historic houses have an ability to be energy efficient and contribute to environmental health. And so over the years, in response to your comments, the commission has adopted rules that have allowed for more and more visibility of solar panels. And most recently, we adopted rules for freestanding houses such as this to allow for visible solar panels, including on the roofs of front porches. This one is just slightly outside of the rules because of this slope of the front porch. And so that's why we're going to be discussing it today. So just with that context, I wanted to set off this discussion. So Commissioner Ginsburg, would you want to take this one?
Yes. So first of all, I want to compliment you. I'll get a little political in my comments, but we need as much solar as we can get so that our children and grandchildren aren't in a toxic stew of temperature and weather. I think this is appropriate. The thing I would add, particularly with the stupid change, in my opinion, at a national level on the tax credits, you need a certain number of panels to justify doing it and making it pay. And you need, the sun's on the south side, so those are where you need them. And I agree over time that the problem is panels need to be dark to work well. But over time, there may be subtler panels. And I think the point you made also that this is totally removable is very important. So I find this appropriate.
Thank you. Commissioner Goldblum.
100% agreed. I think it's appropriate.
Commissioner Jefferson.
We spent the weekend reading the letter. 5 letters.
Speak up, Commissioner, please.
Just
I spent the weekend reading the letters, and there were about 5 or 6 of them from the community and neighbors, and they were opposed to this. I kept on thinking, why? I mean, it's a good thing. And then I looked at the picture and I saw this white line around it, and I said, gee, why can't he, one of the letters said, use less panels. And this is a vernacular building. It has a certain quality to it. And by adding a 4-inch piece to the top really changes it to me. So I find it difficult accepting it.
okay. Vice Chair Master.
I find this appropriate.
Commissioner Nkwembe.
I do believe it's unfortunate that it's the south side that we're having issue with, but I do find it appropriate.
Commissioner Chu.
I think the temporary nature of it makes it palatable to me because aesthetically I can see criticism for this, and the applicant does have a property. It could have been somewhere in the yard, but I think in the spirit of making these houses more suitable for contemporary use and the sustainable nature of this temporary nature of it is, we've approved other applications that had items that could have been questionable, but because they were very temporary in nature, we approved them. That's my feeling here.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Wilder.
Find appropriate.
Commissioner Chen.
I'm in agreement, and as well as Commissioner Goldblum's, Stephen Chu and Ginsburg's comment, and also to commend the applicant, both applicants for doing the right thing. And given the temporary nature, And as the chair alluded to, this commission has approved many of this type of projects before, and the technology is changing. Some of it may be built into the future roofs.
All right, great. So I think we're in agreement, Commissioner Ginsburg.
With regards to LPC-10999, 242-03 Pine Street, Douglaston Hill Historic District, a neo-colonial style freestanding house designed by John Stewart and built in 1904-1905. Application is to install solar panels. I note that the building style, scale, material, and details are among the features that contribute to the special architectural and historic character of the Douglaston Hill Historic District. I recommend approval, finding that the proposed work will not damage or eliminate any significant architectural features of the roof, which is currently covered with modern asphalt shingles. That the site conditions dictate placement of the solar panels on the front porch roof, and the overall arrangement will result in the minimum amount of panels necessary for proper performance and economic viability. That the solar panels will have a low profile and will be mounted parallel to the pitch of the roof, thereby maintaining the roof plane. That the simple rectilinear configuration and dark uniform appearance of the solar panels and framing elements will have a neutral presence on the roof. That the use of solid black finish skirt and black finish mesh critter guards at the front and sides of the installation will conceal the underside of the panels and will prevent debris from collecting below the installation, helping to improve the overall appearance. And that the installation will clearly be visually differentiated as a modern renewable energy installation and reversible in the long term.
All right, Commissioner Chen, would you second that motion?
Second.
All right, Mark, will you call the vote?
Chair Carroll.
Aye.
Vice Chair Master.
Aye.
Commissioner Chen.
Aye.
Commissioner Chu.
Aye.
Commissioner Ginsburg.
Aye.
Commissioner Goldblum.
Aye.
Commissioner Quimby.
Aye.
Commissioner Jefferson.
Nay.
Commissioner Wilder.
Aye.
With 8 in favor and 1 opposed, the motion passes.
Okay, that's approved. Thank you. We'll move to the next item.
The next item is item number 2, docket number LPC 25-11798, an application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Manhattan, Block 617, Lot 33, 104 Greenwich Avenue in the Greenwich Village Historic District. This is a row house built in 1829 and later altered. The application is to construct a rooftop addition, replace windows, and alter the areaway.
Hello, Commissioners. I hear that you didn't hear me the last time, so I'm gonna try. I'm the applicant for 104 Greenwich. This is a project that has 3 components to it, or our request for review is for 3 components. We're in the project's located on Greenwich Avenue in the West Village. There's the site. This is the site. So it's a building that's at the foot of Jane Street on Greenwich Avenue. So it is on the sort of northwest side of the property. You can see that there's a low building, which is sort of the primary driver of the challenge here. Can you guys hear me? Okay, okay. All right. And so, but it's a sort of part of the neighborhood that's really sort of all over the place in terms of height. You can see that on the north corner, the point there is a 6-story building. Directly across the street are 6-story buildings, and then there's a 15-story building a little further up the block, and then the rest of the row that we're in is 2, 3, and 4-story row houses. And then this is some photographs. The third photograph is the existing condition of the building. The 1940s photo is there to the left, and then the one on the extreme left is the 80s photo. And then you're also seeing the back of the building. So it's all pretty long in the tooth. You can see that a lot of things have happened to this building throughout its history. It was probably originally just a 3-story row house. And I think that the 3rd story was configured differently. I'm guessing it had a cornice and maybe dormers, or I didn't find proof. But what you can see is that the lower 2 stories are a Flemish bond brick pattern that then switches to a common bond for the upper 2 stories. And we do know that the studio window appeared, I think, in the 1920s or the teens, and so that has been there for a while. The studio window has been modified a couple of times over the years in terms of the actual fenestration. And so this is sort of the Jane Street view, so high visibility. And you can see the buildings to the left are 2 stories, and then one has an artist's sort of garret up above that's visible. So visibility from head on, and then quite a bit of visibility from the north looking back. We have 3 things we're going to be asking for here. One is the approval of a setback rooftop addition, change to the configuration of the fenestration of the studio window, and then the lowering of the parlor floor windows back to their original, or their first floor windows back to the original level, and the reopening of an areaway that exists below the sidewalk to create a sort of front areaway, planted front areaway and ironwork in front of the building. So we have our demo and existing condition on the right and our proposed facade on the left. You can see the rooftop extension there is we're extending the chimneys on our building, masonry chimneys up on the northwest side. We're extending the neighbors' chimneys up also to comply with the 3-foot clearance at 10 feet. Our facade is set back from the front facade. I believe it's about 12 feet, and is clad in a white vertical siding. Our studio window we are just reconfiguring it, reconfiguring the muntins of it to relate more closely to the restored 4/4 windows on the 3rd, 2nd, and main floor. And then down below, we are putting a curb back, the ironwork back. We're restoring windows into the English basement space down in that areaway, and then having ironwork extending around the sort of perimeter of that front areaway. This is the existing condition of these windows, which are not original to the studio window creation. And this is our proposed configuration. So the ironwork balcony that you see here is not really a balcony. It's more of a decorative piece of ironwork that can provide a home to flower boxes. It is not an occupiable space. It's up above the floor on the inside. And so we are proposing a series of French outswing casement windows with a sort of light configuration that is similar to the windows down below. And these are meant to be, these will be painted wood windows on this, as well as all of the other windows on this front facade. And then this is our, I think this is the main problem on this building is this rooftop setback, or the main ask here. And you can see that we are setting back in front so that there's a front deck. There is a small room up there, and then in the back there's a green roof. And the size of this penthouse, if you will, is basically just the width of the staircase that comes up to it, running north, east-west, and then sort of stretching over to the northwest facade. Here's a plan. So green roof in the back, place to sit in the front. Stairs coming up. There's a bar there, and then the other 2 spaces are really storage and gardening equipment, and then our air conditioning equipment is back behind. And this lower drawing here is showing the side elevation. So one of the things we have to do is our lower neighbor to the north has chimneys with that many active flues, so those we need to bring those up and extend those to the roof, and you'll see that we're proposing painting them in our renderings. And then we're extending our own brick chimneys up to that height as well. So this is a photograph on the right of the mock-up, and you can see the chimneys are there, extended up. And then on the left, you're seeing our rendering of the mock-up. And we had initially proposed that the brick sidewall would actually continue and connect the two chimneys, but after working with staff a bit on this, decided that if we did it in the same black vertical siding, it would actually be less noticeable, we thought, than having the brick wall extend up. So that's what that is. This is also the location of the greatest visibility, which is from coming from the west side, sort of ambling down Greenwich Avenue towards the east. This is the view from down Jane Street, a view which is generally not actually visible because Jane Street is sort of so heavily planted, but nonetheless, there is some visibility here. This is the view walking northwest, so from the east side towards the project. So there's the only real visibility here is of the chimney extensions. And this is just some samples of other visible rooftop extensions within this historic district. So they're reasonably prevalent. This is just a quick study of the existing and proposed front areaway. So right now the E-train is passing in front of this in the street, and there is actually, I'm going to go to the section because it's better, but you can see on the right is our existing section. So this light well or former light well exists and is buried under the sidewalk at present, and our proposed section is to reopen that light well, restore those windows at the level of the basement, introduce ironwork back into the front of the project, and sort of just create a little bit more of a buffer between the activities of the sidewalk and the interior of this house. So existing on the right and proposed on the left, also lowering the windows on the main floor. And then we found this photograph. Actually, we had this photograph for months and then noticed it, looked at it very carefully this week and saw that the ironwork and this little stoop were there originally before. This photograph on the right, I think, is from the MTA and just shows the street just before the commencement of the work on the subway there. So that was a nice discovery to find that what we're proposing is something that once existed. Other examples of this sort of ironwork in the front yards of row houses in this district. Oop, I think that's it. I will go back to the worst case scenario drawing. Okay, good.
Thank you. Yeah, great. Commissioner Jefferson.
Concerned about one of your decisions. And in this facade, you have two buildings that are about the same size. They're in the middle of the block. They're about the same size. And yet, you said you wanted to take the brick up on the east facade there, all the way up, which would make them partners. Why did you decide to change the materiality on the penthouse?
Wait, should I answer that now?
Yes, you
Yeah,
can
okay.
answer that.
Of the penthouse.
You mean, why didn't we keep it as brick? It was looking a little bit more bright and visible in brick than it was in the when we switched it to black. We were keeping black on the front facade no matter what, although that's not visible. But on the side, it just really started to become massive. Yeah.
There's like two different approaches. One is to sort of do it in a different material so that you can sort of understand what the original, well, not in this case, the historic height is. It's not the original height. And other one is to make it blend. Yeah, Commissioner Ginsburg.
So I have two questions. Again, these are sort of color. Why did you pick black instead of some sort of gray, which might be a little less heavy?
I think just sort of, because we're painting the windows black and I feel like, and it's the color of the cornice elements and the ironwork, and I find that black sort of recedes the most in New York
And,
City.
and the second question on sheet 107, the roof is black, and I think code requires a light reflective roof. Not that you'll be able to see that, but just as a thing, that roof there, which you're showing is black, I think you're going to need to do is a white or an off-white roof to meet code.
Yeah, okay, not a problem. I think
Thank
that's
you.
a rendering decision, but we'll fix that.
Any other questions? All right, we'll move to public testimony and we'll come back to you. Jeremy Woodoff?
Jeremy Woodoff again, speaking for the Victorian Society, New York. We agree with the approach to the facade restoration of this building. Lowering the parlor floor windows, installing 4/4 sash, recreating a small areaway, and replacing the entrance door will restore the integrity of the building's early 20th century design. The rooftop addition, while modest in size, will be quite visible, especially because of the low building next door. We would prefer the visibility to be reduced, but given the rooftop additions on neighboring buildings and the general condition of the roofscape, we think the addition can be found appropriate. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else in the room who would like to speak on this item? Noting that there isn't, I will turn it over to Michelle Craren to see if we have any remote participants.
Thank you, Chair Carroll. Anyone in Zoom who would like to testify, please use the raise hand function. First, I will call on Chloe Gregoire. Chloe, you have been promoted to panelist. You have 3 minutes to speak. Please state your name for the record.
Good day, Commissioners. My name is Chloe Gregoire, and I'm speaking on behalf of Village Preservation. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. Village Preservation has strong concerns about the visibility of the proposed rooftop addition. This building already has a historic rooftop addition and is thus taller than the other row houses on this block. We are not convinced that there is any realistic way to construct yet another addition atop this building with suitably minimal degree of visibility. The wide views from along Greenwich Avenue are always going to be problematic. As proposed, the new rooftop addition is certainly not appropriate. We feel that the applicants need to rethink this proposal and study whether any addition could be set back far enough from the side facade so as to not overwhelm the building and streetscape. We also ask that the visibility study be amended to include views from farther northwest along Greenwich Avenue, looking back towards the building. There is currently no assessment of how visible this proposal will be from further away, and due to the angling of the avenue, we expect that any rooftop addition will be visible from Horatio Street and beyond. We urge the Commission to reject this rooftop addition as presented. We do not object to the top floor window replacement or areaway modifications. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Anyone else who would like to testify, please raise your hand. Seeing no additional raised hands, I will note that Manhattan Community Board 2 recommends mixed approval, approving the studio window and areaway, but recommending denial of the rooftop addition or of any structure on the roof apart from required stair bulkhead and mechanical equipment. Village Preservation recommends denial of the rooftop addition.
All right. Would you like to respond to the comments we've heard?
I appreciate the question of visibility. I think that given the sort of hodgepodge of building heights that exists along Greenwich Avenue, the fact that there's a 15-story building, several 6-story buildings, and just a real range of styles, that the reality is that this sort of rooftop accretion will be nobody will pay any attention to it once it's up there. It is just sort of the nature of, I think once you make the move of setting the addition back and you extend the chimneys as you have to, it all just becomes a bit of the sort of, Mary Poppins-ish rooftop landscape of New York City. So I mean, I would love for it to not be visible, but I think that rooftop extensions are extremely common within this district. I would also note that the whole sort of reason for that's driving this particular rooftop activities is that the backyard on this particular project is incredibly tiny, basically not useful as anything other than visual space. And so the creation of outdoor spaces for the occupants was an incredibly important consideration in proposing this rooftop bulkhead, penthouse. Thanks. Nope, wrong way. You can see in this image, the apartment building that's just up the corner from it, up 2 doors up. I think unfortunately, no, I don't. Anything in the appendix? No? Sorry, I don't.
Thank you for explaining the
Yeah, but
context.
I would say that in this drawing, so our project is right here. So this, these buildings back here are all taller. This building is 6 stories. These 2 buildings are 6 stories, and then this one is 15 stories on the corner.
Thank you. All right, commissioners, any final questions on this one? All right, well then we'll close the hearing and move to our discussion. Commissioner Wilder, would you make a motion to close the hearing? Thank you. Commissioner Chu, would you second that motion?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the hearing is closed, and we have, again, 3 main components to this application. One is, or actually 4. One is to lengthen the parlor floor windows. 2 is to reopen an areaway and then install areaway ironwork that goes the full width of the building. So in front of that areaway and in front of this modern stoop that's sort of inserted into the facade. And then the reconfiguration of the windows and replacement of the windows at the studio window and the rooftop additions. So we'll begin our discussion. Commissioner Jefferson, would you like to start this one?
Sure. I can approve this project because the way I see it, the 2 buildings, these 2 center buildings are about the same size. They make a composition. Color of the penthouse. So somehow they call taking the wall up to meet, to complete the volume. I think it would work perfectly. And the other 2 pieces, the replace the windows, I can approve. Area, obviously, I can approve.
Commissioner Goldblum?
Yeah, I think it's appropriate as is. I think that the suggestions to change, or look at a different color, like gray instead of black, it's good. You can do that with staff. But I have a more basic concern. I didn't know that Brendan was licensed to operate in Manhattan, so I'm not sure that this is, staff can look at that. Mark can check it out. I think the areaway is great. It's a great find, and wrought iron and the ironwork is totally appropriate.
Commissioner Ginsburg?
I find this appropriate. As I indicated, and as Commissioner Goldblum indicated, might play with the color a bit to something a little lighter gray, but I can approve this.
Commissioner Chen?
I'm in agreement.
Commissioner Wilder?
Yeah, I really like the modifications on the facade, the areaway, the first floor window, 4th floor windows. I'm mixed feelings about the extension. I'm not sure what happens if you keep it the same color or change it. I think you're gonna see it regardless. Like, it's not, you can't really hide it. I'm more concerned with the composition that was mentioned between the two buildings side by side, how it changes, how they look together. I'm not sure that's really evident in this drawing. So mixed feelings about their rooftop addition.
Okay. Commissioner Chu?
I think that the areaway is fine, makes sense, and the the window sill removal to do the full height window is fine. I feel okay about the rooftop addition. I think I don't mind the fact that visually you can see the difference between the existing and the proposed. I was looking at the drawings, and I think that the applicant can work with staffing on the color. It does indicate that they're gray hardy board. Curious about the Shisugi on the front facade, just because I think it's an interesting product, but this is fine. This is appropriate.
Okay. Commissioner Quimby?
Yeah, I can find the proposal appropriate.
Vice Chair Master?
Yeah, I can find all the changes on the front facade appropriate. And the reason I can find the roof addition appropriate is really the varying heights of the buildings and the variety that we have here as the applicant presented. So I can find the whole thing appropriate.
Okay. All right. So I think what we can do is make a motion to approve it and ask them to work with the color of the penthouse with the staff. Yep. That's okay.
Well, what?
Thanks.
Oh.
I have a paper version if somebody wants that. Mhm.
In the matter of LPC 25 3798. Application is to construct a rooftop addition. I note that the building style, scale, material, and features with a special architectural will be called historic studio windows in terms of configurations, operations, detail, and finish, and the change of material from metal of the original to wood would not be perceivable from the street. That the historical photo showed two small light wells at the building, large areaway covered in metal grating at number 1, both surrounded by ironworks. Evading the concrete sidewalk to create one large areaway surrounded by ironwork is in keeping with this historic condition. That the installation of black painted ironwork around the excavated area and stoop is a typical, that the simplest design of the fence, the profile and finish of the stone curb, fine height will harmonize with the building and the projection of the areaway into the sidewalk. We're keeping other than the block. That the mid-19th century building has been modified through its history, including raising for the construction, and therefore the construction of the moderately visible rooftop addition would be in keeping with the history of alterations at the building, and if property scale and detail could harmonize with the building streetscape without calling undue attention. Proposed railing at the roof. minimum height required by code. Consistent with roofing.
And then however,
Recommend that
that they work with the staff on the color of the penthouse.
I, I, I recommend that the applicant work with the staff and in the,
Look at the color.
and the reviews. Well, which
It's the
one?
color.
And
You're
work
right.
with the staff to talk about the color and decide on a proper color for this roof.
Perfect. All right, thank you. Commissioner Master, Vice Chair Master, would you second that motion?
Second.
All right, Mark, will you call the vote?
Chair Carroll,
Aye.
Vice Chair Master, Commissioner Chen,
Aye.
Commissioner Chu,
Aye.
Mr. Ginsburg,
Aye.
Commissioner Goldblum, Roy Quembe,
Aye.
Jefferson, Commissioner Wilder.
Aye.
With 9 in favor and none opposed, the motion passes.
All right, that's approved. Thank you. We'll move to the next item.
The next item is item number 3, docket number LPC 25-10307, an application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Manhattan, Block 539, Lot 37. This is 159 to 161 Bleecker Street in the South Village Historic District. This is an arts and crafts style theater building designed by Samuel Livingston and built in 1917 to 18, with alterations designed by Eugene K. Schaefer of Codeworks LLC and completed in 2004-2007. This is an application to alter the facade, install new storefront infill and windows, and alter the marquee.
Hello, I am Greta Hansen. Is this loud enough? I think. I'll try to, right there. Okay. I'm the applicant for this project, which is located on the north side of Bleecker Street in between Sullivan and Thompson. And you can see the list of the scope of work below. Here are images of the life of this building during the course of the 20th century as a theater. You can see prior to the circle in the square, the photo on the very right, the ground floor was covered in wood paneling, which had showcases for the theater shows in it. And on the right-hand side of the theater doors, it looks like a box office window. Above those two frames, louvers and what I think is some windows of some kind. And these photos, which were taken this year, represent an addition that was done over the course of 2004 to 2007. And actually, this is why the building is 161 also, because it shifted the center of the original building to the west, and that on the very left-hand side is the residential entry to the units above. They chopped off 1 story of the original and added 6 for a total of 8. And then you can see in the photo on the right that the brick is a bit different here on the either side of the the commercial entry. And that, I think, adds to the speculation that there was an opening on either side. I'm here to discuss the commercial entry and not the residential entry on the left. And the areas shown in a very light blue are the proposed areas of removals. And here is shown a proposed replacement of the commercial entry storefront facade, which I didn't point out too much. It's an existing aluminum frame storefront system. And so the proposal is to replace it roughly in kind, and then to introduce 2 new windows on either side of it. There is a proposal to have a fluted painted metal, which covers up an existing steel column. You can see that in the plan on the bottom. And actually, I mean, it's not that interesting, but it supports the new center of the building above. Basically, you can see where the weight is coming down. So the proposal is to wrap that as opposed to what's there now, which is painted plywood, in a fluted metal panel that has a radius on it coming back to the same existing plane of the doors. The doors are proposed to be metal storefront, but the glazing is proposed to be fluted with a transom and reeded, I should say. And the transom above is proposed to be cross-reeded. The same fluted metal panel at the lower portion of the windows, which covers some other utilities on the left side anyway. A painted metal, quote unquote, lintel, I guess, and then above that, the same cross-reeded transom glass. And here are some of the materials, which in this view might be a little heavy-handed in the Photoshop on the cross-reeded glass. But of course, I want to also point out the marquee above the door, which projects from the building roughly 10 feet. So as a big overhang. Let's see, it's existing condition, painted silver cement board. It's got a light bar that had some lighting for the marquee at one point, projecting out over it. It's got another light on the underside. It's got some drainage coming from the roof and wrapping around the building. And so obviously those are items that we would propose to clean up. And so the proposal is to clad it in a painted metal, the same color as the proposed storefront, but also to wrap it in a horizontal banding of linear lights, which would be halo lit. And I'll show you again those. The underside is proposed to be a glossy Dibond panel or aluminum composite panel that is that has pin lights or small recessed downlights. And then again on the linear banded lighting, I am proposing actual neon to be painted in a blockout paint that would achieve the halo lit quality by actually not painted, dipped. In fact, the first two-thirds of the front face of the neons. And that linear pattern would just wrap all the way around the angled sides and the front side. And I think that helps, connect a little bit to the former theater, but also tie into the current use of the space, which is the current tenant is an office. And I think they've been there for roughly 5 years and will remain for a little while longer. That's it.
Do we have any questions? Yes, Commissioner Chu.
The existing entry used to be wider, and I saw in your plan there's does that column added when they did the addition of the apartments above?
Yes.
Probably, because when I look at the historic pictures, it was part of the storefront, that opening.
Exactly.
Okay.
You can see how
Yeah, one's glass, the other side's solid because there's a column right there.
Yeah.
The other question is, in terms of, you say it's an office?
It's used as an office, even though the space still has, 2 layers of mezzanines on the interior. It's a really nice interior space. They also use the basement.
Are they going to put a name on the marquee, or is that really just an effect of that horizontal line?
That's an effect.
Okay. And your rendering suggests slight reshaping. Is that true? Or
Shaping on the marquee.
yeah,
I have to admit that no. There was at one point in maybe should have mentioned that this project had a previous application that was approved in 2019, and that certificate expired last fall. And this was part of that. So there's actually no significant shaping on the marquee, actually. It's just the radius of the neons.
Okay, the reason I asked is your rendering suggests that you don't have hard faceted corners at the front. They're actually smoothed around.
Yes.
Yeah,
Sorry.
because it's very harsh, the existing
Yeah.
box. It's, yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Because we're coming out
Yeah,
the
you're
thickness
building
of
up
a
front.
6-inch stud, we're going to radius also the corners of the
Okay.
marquee. Sorry, I misunderstood.
Can also, the lighting in this don't seem to reflect your rendering. The underside looks more, I'm not sure, the rendering suggests
The truth is,
small bulbs that like.
there were
like a
more
theater.
pin lights in the renderings on the underside. The quantity was larger.
So what is proposed?
Sorry.
Those are
Okay.
those few downs are the ones. Okay.
Yeah. And the aperture or the opening is still 1/2 inch, but I think the circles are a little wider because they have the above line.
And can you explain your preference in the two options of facade material again? One has reeded glass, the other has,
Oh, I was censured by the
Oh.
staff to only show one option.
okay.
and, It's clear glass.
Okay. So can you just show again? Okay, this is the version you're
Yeah.
proposing, not the reeded glass on the
Not the
two
reeded glass.
sides.
And I will note that the tenant who is in office space, they would technically prefer to have reeded glass at their ground floor windows because it's on Bleecker Street
So,
and they get a lot of traffic. But in talking with staff, we thought it would be best to keep clear windows at the sidewalk. So this is the proposal.
okay. And is there office space right behind those windows?
Yes.
Those are offices.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so it's reeded glass in the transoms and in the doors and clear glass at the windows. And I think the 1976 photo, you can see those were solid walls then. I don't know if there was a history of change there or not, but there currently is no transparency
No.
there. So that's something to think about, I guess. Okay. Yes, Commissioner Ginsburg.
Given that it's zoned commercial, is there thought if at some point the office moves out and someone commercial moved in, how you deal with signage, or is that all not part of your assignment? And if it ever happened, you'd be back to us?
You answered your own question, but I.
Hey,
but it-
thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions? Commissioner Goldblum?
Happens to the rainwater?
The rainwater, also, thank you. The drain will be replaced, but it will come directly into the building
Good.
through the new lowered underside of the marquee.
You're keeping tiebacks.
Yes, and they have been addressed by a structural engineer, the existing structure. And the existing tiebacks as well, yeah. They're still there.
So, why the color black for all your facade intervention?
I mean, it matches the residential storefront entry, which is, I would say, like a standard black aluminum extrusion. But that's the only reason.
And why the change of pattern from the reeded to the double?
Thought kind of made it so that you brought the reeded together over top. And it has like the cross reeded, which is kind of a more unusual glass texture, I think. Just has like a subtle effect of being like, not stained glass exactly, but just something else.
Okay, thanks.
Or the leaded glass transoms that you sometimes see.
The top, go to the sample page. 1 through 6, whatever it is, there you go. So you see on the far right, that's the double reeded, that's in the transom, and 6 is in the windows. A little different.
Okay. All right, other questions? Okay, we'll move to public testimony and then we'll come back to you. Jeremy Woodoff?
Jeremy Woodoff speaking for the Victorian Society, New York. This building is a great example of the importance of maintaining stylistic integrity, even for ordinary vernacular buildings. The vertical addition to the building and the alterations to the original facade paid no heed to the original style and details. As a result, it's a mess. We commend the applicant for attempting to mediate between the tower and the remains of the original building by redesigning the infill and marquee. The streamlined aesthetic of the marquee cladding, aluminum panels at the entrance, and patterned glass cannot unify the building in themselves. Only a complete facade redesign could do that. But in our view, the proposal is an interesting and stylish, yet muted design that calls attention away from the tower addition and the desecrations to the original facade. For that reason, we think it's appropriate and recommend approval. And I also have to add how pleased we are that the proposal is for real neon on a marquee, something which recent applicants who have historic marquees have said is an outdated technology, and so far they've argued successfully for that. But we see here that isn't necessarily the case. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the room who would like to speak on this item? Okay, noting that there isn't, I will turn it over to Stephen Thompson to see if we have any remote participants.
Those joining us via Zoom who wish to offer testimony, please use the raise hand function. All right, once more, anyone on Zoom who wishes to speak, please use the raise hand function. Okay, seeing none, I will note for the record that Manhattan Community Board 2 recommends approval on the condition that LPC staff ensure the level of illumination of the marquee is an unobtrusive glow.
And of course, the commission doesn't regulate the quality of the light or the wattage of it, whether it's a glow or not. But we do appreciate your explaining the number of the fixtures and the size of them as well. And the testimony is otherwise supportive, but is there anything else you'd like to say before we move to our discussion?
Oh, no, but I did find some interest about what was called the desecration of the building. And there's a New York Times article in 2007 that kind of describes the situation by the original developer. And I just found it interesting, but I won't cite it beyond saying that it was written by Josh Barbanel on May 13th, 2007.
Okay, thank you. All right, commissioners, any final questions? Right, then let's move to our discussion. Commissioner Chen, would you make a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Ginsburg, would you second that motion?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so this is a proposal to make some modifications to the ground floor of this very heavily altered building, which has had its center shifted as well as a very undesigned upper floors addition added to it. And the proposal is to open up the brick to create windows and do new storefronts within those openings and doors, and to reshape the marquee with a black painted neon. And again, the glass is a combination of clear glass and then some ribbed glass with different patterns in the doors and in the transoms. Commissioner Wilder, would you like to start this one?
Yeah, I'm still stuck on the existing image of how it currently looks and trying to just orient myself in terms of what changed, which it feels like a different building. And so trying to find like the home base of context, like where does it start? Where did you pick it up at? So I think if I'm looking at it from almost this is a change, a shift in a different direction, I think it creates a new kind of rhythm at the ground floor, trying to fit with the storefront of the residential entry. I like the lights, the neon lights, as well as the entrance. I was thinking about the type of use on the interior. I guess that's not necessarily important. I don't know if it really fits with the office space, but I think I could find it appropriate.
Okay, thank you. And I think just to give you some, also some guidance in the discussion, I think this building has some historic brickwork remaining. It's otherwise the sort of upper floors of it would be considered non-contributing to this district. So I think as we think about the appropriateness of the openings and the infill and the marquee, I think we can think back to the original character of the building, which had a marquee, and some of that patterned brickwork and texture that that building had, but also really thinking about it in the streetscape and its effect on the street and the historic district. And you have a little bit of that to the side. This is a varied street, and so there is a little commercial building to the left side, and I think a lot of other variety within the streetscape. So that may help in thinking about appropriateness. Commissioner, oh yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say also, I think a rendering of the entire facade would have been helpful to see it, to see the entire front of the building.
And in the full context.
Yeah.
Commissioner Mann?
Yeah, this is a tough one, given that, the building has been so heavily altered that it's hard to find a point from which to ground oneself. I would also appreciate a greater understanding of the how the proposed design relates to the historic district itself, given that there's so little original fabric or original design intent of the existing building remaining. That being said, I can understand the locations of the punctures, the discrete way that they, remove limited, perhaps no original fabric. I appreciate the neon lighting design, but it's hard to, I suppose, evaluate how that appropriate that is to the historic district if the building doesn't have much there left. But the design is generally, tasteful.
Yeah, and I think it is true that without the context, it's hard to think about it. But I think this building did have a textural quality that I think some of the ribbing and the textured glass here kind of relates to. And I think, as the applicant said, those transoms kind of are evocative to me of some of the leaded glass transoms that you find in sort of early 20th century storefronts. So I think given the variety of this street, which unfortunately is not shown in this presentation, I think all of that texture could fit very nicely. Commissioner Chen?
Yeah, just to follow up on Frank's comment, I think, and the word you use, this building is so heavily altered, but, on the positive side, obviously, is that some of the brickwork being retained, and the improvement on the ground floor with the simulation to the glass, and the fact that, as Jeremy Woodrow said here, they're starting to use the on. One word of caution, given the recent collapse of the marquee on the program, I would say that inspect your high back and heavily make sure that your structural detail is correct. On the repeat on another one.
And just one other thought as we're discussing it, as the applicant has proposed clear glass at the direction of the staff, who generally likes to see some transparency and activity on the streetscape. But given that the applicant has said that the tenant would prefer an obscured glass, and some of you have already raised the question of an office use behind display windows. If you have thoughts about that and whether that could be textured glass as well, please feel free to make those comments. Okay, Commissioner Ginsburg.
I think this is a significant improvement over what's there now and has reminiscence of what was there. And so I find this totally appropriate.
Commissioner Goldblum.
I agree. I think it's a slight improvement over a very bad situation. I wish the bar were higher, but I think it's appropriate.
Commissioner Jefferson.
I think I echo a significant improvement, and I think the composition is very nice. However, what I love about this, the atmosphere that the show has a beautiful atmosphere, but that's not accurate.
What's the shoot?
Vice Chair Master.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of the comments that were made. I think that the marquee, as it is now, is much more attractive with a soft light. And I think opening it up with additional glass windows makes a lot of sense. In terms of the ribbed glass versus a transparent glass, I'm actually okay with the ribbed glass. I'm not sure why we need to be transparent in this situation. So I'm happy with if they want to explore that with staff. I don't know how the other commissioners feel.
Commissioner Quimby.
Yes, I definitely appreciate the attempt to actually bring order or some semblance of order to the chaos that is, what is this facade? And I believe it did it in some very delicate moves. And I do find what's being presented to be pleasing. So I can say it's acceptable.
And I don't know if you have a thought about the transparent display windows or whether.
I think that's on the user, more or less. I don't, in truth, having this kind of slightly opaque or translucent feel, I think it actually works with what's already being presented in the facade.
Thank you. Commissioner Chu.
Yeah, I think that the applicant has actually done a good job in reviving what was there. I mean, this rendering only shows the bottom, but frankly, that's all they can touch here. And I think that what it does do is bring back a condition of street activity that used to be here when it was a theater. It was very lively and the facade was more engaging with the streetscape. And this is doing that regardless of the use change, the facade and the architecture are more interactive with the street level. And I think that's all positive. I'm totally fine with reeded glass at those windows at grade level. I in fact think it might be better because offices can get messy and they're going to put the blinds down because they don't want to be seen, and that will look worse. I think that the reeded glass is a great way to unify that ground level aesthetic and allow a lot of natural light still into the space.
Okay, so just a quick poll. Do others, I know we have two who specifically said they'd be okay with it. Others would be okay with the reeded ribbed glass? Okay. All right, so Commissioner Wilder, would you make the motion to approve it? And at the end, we can note that they can work with the staff to increase the ribbed glass in the windows. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Matter of LPC, sorry. In the matter of LPC 25-10307-159-161 Bleecker Street, South Village Historic District, an arts and crafts style theater building designed by Samuel Levinson and built in 1917 and 1918 with alterations designed by Eugene K. Schaefer of Coldworks LLC and completed in 2004 to 2007. Application is to alter the facade, install new storefront. New storefront infill and windows and alter the marquee. Certificate of Appropriateness 19-32913 and issued on March. Nope, okay, sorry. I note that the original building contained a motion picture theater and stores at the first story and offices at the second story, and through the late 20th century was a noted venue in Greenwich Village. That the second story was removed to transform the original theater into the base of an 8-story apartment building circa 2004 to 2007, and the original marquee was replaced. Staff also notes that while the building has been highly altered, the remaining significant architectural features contribute to the special architectural and historic character of the South Village Historic District. I recommend approval, finding that the proposed work will not damage or eliminate any significant architectural features, that the new display windows will recall the original storefronts and later ticket booths that once existed, that the configuration, details, materials, and finish of the proposed metal entrance doors, side lights, and transits are in keeping with infill historically found on mid-century theater buildings and will relate well to surviving details of the remaining historic facade fragment. That textured glass was a typical feature of new infill during the second and third quarter of the 20th century, and the use of reeded and cross-reeded glazing will provide privacy to the office within while enhancing the overall design. That the design of the reclad marquee featuring strips of neon with a coating at the outer surface will create a muted halo effect, and the flush-mounted recessed LED pinpoint downlighting under the marquee will light the marquee in a way that will not call undue attention to it, and that the proposed work will not detract from the special architectural or historic character of the building or the South Village District.
And we'll add that if the applicant wishes to consider or reconsider the ribbed glass in the display windows, the commission would find that appropriate as well, and you can work with the staff on those details. All right, thank you. That's approved, and we'll move to the next item. Oh, sorry. Okay, oh my gosh. All right. Commissioner Chu, would you second that motion?
Second.
Mark?
Senator Carroll, what
Aye.
would you vote? Chair Carroll,
Aye.
Vice Chair Master,
Aye.
Commissioner Chen,
Aye.
Commissioner Chu,
Aye.
Commissioner Ginsburg,
Aye.
Commissioner Goldblum, Commissioner Quimby,
Aye.
Commissioner Jefferson, Commissioner Mahan,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilder.
Aye.
With 10 in favor and none opposed, the motion passes. Okay.
Now it's approved. And we'll now move to the next item.
The next item is item number 4, docket number LPC 25-11516, an application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Manhattan, Block 586, Lot 16, 14 Leroy Street in the Greenwich Village Historic District Extension 2. This is a Greek Revival style row house built circa 1835, altered with Italianate style elements in 1872 and altered again in 1927. The application is to modify openings at the rear facade.
All right, great. Thank you. My name is Eric Sheffield. I'm the architect on the project, Eric Sheffield Architect.
And if you could just make sure you speak into the mic. The people on Zoom can't hear unless we speak directly into the mic. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, great. So my name is Eric Sheffield. I'm the architect on the project. The project is located at 14 Leroy Street. As you can see in the slide, we're located in the Greenwich Village Historic District Extension number 2, kind of in the heart of the district there. We are located between Bleecker Street and Bedford Street on Leroy. The scope of our work is on the parlor level in the rear of the building, where we're proposing to enlarge the existing opening that's there. Typically, a project like this would be able to be approved at staff level after working through whatever issues there are. But we currently have an empty lot directly behind us that you can see in this photo. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention while we have the plot plan up there. On Carmine Street, there's an empty lot that's been there for a while that is currently a parking lot. The history of the building is that it was built in 1835 as a single-family home and had 2 major alterations to it before it was designated in the Landmark District. It was originally built in 1835 And then the first major alteration was in 1872. It was enlarged with a new third floor and a rear extension up the entire rear of the building, and turned into a tenement building. And then in 1927, the first floor and basement level were combined, and the stoop was removed in 1927. And the new entrance was down through the basement level of the townhouse. Let's see here. These are just showing more Sanborn maps. Oops, I'm sorry. Let me go back to the last one. I didn't quite get there. So in the first Sanborn map, it shows the Sanborn from 1854 of the original size of the townhouse. It was built as an individual townhouse and was the same depth as the ones next door, but wasn't built at the same time as the ones next door, apparently. You can see in the 1899 Sanborn map that the extension was already built at that point, along with the third floor. The next slides show the 1904 and 1916 Sanborn maps, just showing the neighborhood evolving over that course of that time period. Then we move to the much more substantial change with the building of the Church of Our Lady of Pompeii on the corner, which was a school and convent, apparently. I also wanted to show you on this slide, you'll see next to the convent on the Carmine Street side, you have the 2.5-story plus cellar building right next to the convent, which eventually is torn down to create the church rectory, and that 4-story and cellar with the S next to it building, which is then torn down to become the parking lot that you can now see through to see the back of 14 Leroy Street. For context, we've included these front facade photos of 14 Leroy Street from the 1940 and 1980 tax photos. Again, no work is proposed on the front facade, but you can see the stoop was removed by this period and the third floor was added. And of course, always the terrible 1980s tax photo. Moving to Carmine Street, this is the 27 Carmine, which is that 2.5-story building that is torn down by the church to create the rectory you see in the 1980 tax photo. This is 29 Carmine, which originally was this mixed-use building you can see to the left with its wonderful barrels out front and the period cars out front. And then the 1980s tax photo with the parking lot. And through the parking lot, you start to see 14 Leroy Street in the back there with a fire escape on it. Whoops. There we go. And we also show 31 Carmine, and then you can see the 1980s tax photo with the side of 31 being exposed as they opened up that, took down that building and made it a parking lot. This is giving you more context. So the first photo to the left is the photo of the empty lot from the other side of Carmine Street. And you can see 14 Leroy in the back is the white building. And then on the sidewalk in front of the empty lot, looking through the fence. And then the last photo, if you stick your camera through the fence and then zoom way in, you can see 14 Carmine Street. The area that we're going to be talking about is the lower 3 sets of French doors that are poking up over the fence and the brick piers between them. What we're proposing to do is remove all of those 3 French doors and the 2 piers and put in a larger glass windows and doors to allow more light and air into that parlor level. A nice Google Earth view of the whole back area there. You can see the parking lot in the center at the bottom, and then the altered rears of all of these buildings, including ours in the middle there, the white building at 14 Leroy, which had that full extension added on to the back of the building. Right, so these are current photos once the trees came in. The original photo I took was in the middle of winter where the tree hadn't filled in yet. And so this, again, is just giving you more context of 14 Leroy in the middle, and then 16 to the left and 12 to the right. And what you see as if you stuck your head through those bars and zoomed in.
Yeah, if you could just get to the proposed alteration.
Okay, there. So this is the, so on the left side is there was a filing in 2015 that was approved by the landmarks to alter the rear again, which is shown on the left side, which is the current elevation. On the right side is the proposed change to that parlor level, opening it up for more light and air. And these are close-ups of that to give you a sense, again, with removing the fence and everything that blocks this right now. This is a plan view showing you the same, where on the upper view is the existing with the removal of the 2 piers and the 3 sets of French doors. And the lower version is the new glass windows and doors. This is a rendering without the fence and tree in front of it and with the tree and fence in front of it. And we have an appendix that shows more detailed, but I don't know if we need to get it.
I think we're good.
All right, great.
Thank you. We might, if we have questions, we can refer to some of those slides. All right, do we have any questions, commissioners? Okay, let's see if we have any public testimony. Is there anyone in the room who'd like to speak on this item? Okay, noting that there isn't, I'm going to turn it over to Stephen to see if we have any remote participants.
Those joining us via Zoom who wish to offer testimony, please use the raise hand function, after which you'll be promoted to panelist. We ask you to unmute yourself, state your name for the record, and you will have 3 minutes to speak. Our first speaker will be Chloe Gregoire.
Good day, Commissioners. My name is Chloe Gregoire, and I'm speaking on behalf of Village Preservation. Village Preservation finds this window assembly to appear too modern for a visible rear facade, noting that the existing punched window openings are not original. We could find a proposal that incorporates a bit more openness here acceptable, but we feel that any new window assembly needs to still reference the configuration of the historic rear of a row house. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else joining us via Zoom who wishes to speak, please use the raise hand function. All right, seeing none, I will note for the record that Manhattan Community Board 2 recommends approval.
Would you like to respond to the comments that we heard from Village Preservation?
Again, this is an open lot. It may someday be closed. It's very obscured. I think these types of enlargements have been approved consistently by the commission. So we think we're in, kind of a modest enlargement of just the parlor level and not the upper floors to let more light and air in. So I think it would be keeping in the spirit of what's been approved.
All right, great. Thank you. Okay, so let's close the hearing and begin our discussion. Commissioner Mann, would you make a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Wilder, would you second that motion?
So second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so the hearing is closed and we're looking at the alteration or the modification of the window openings at the parlor floor, which happen to be visible through the vacant lot on Carmine Street. And they are, this view is somewhat obscured by the fence and then the fence in the foreground as well as the fence in the background and seasonally by leaves. And I would say, as the applicant said, this is the kind of change that the commission routinely approves at, well, at staff level, if not visible, and even in visible situations, the commission has approved this even when it's closer to the eye level and street level. So we'll begin our discussion. Commissioner Aquembe, would you start this one?
I guess just to start off, I find it just very straightforward. As you stated prior, I guess we're obstructed by, it's like 2 series of fencing. And then also we have seasonal foliage that comes out. I truly don't see that large of an impact, and I believe it's always a good thing to have more light in a space. Fine, appropriate.
Thank you, Commissioner Master.
Yeah, I agree. This is completely appropriate.
Commissioner Jefferson?
Agreed.
Does everybody else agree?
Yep.
Okay. And we'll go ahead and make the motion. Commissioner Aquembe, would you read that motion?
Okay. In the matter of LPC 25-11516, 14 Leroy Street, Greenwich Village, Historic District Extension 2. This application is to modify openings at a rear facade. I note that the building's style, scale, materials, and details are among the features that contribute to the special architectural and historic character of the Greenwich Village Historic District Extension 2. Staff also notes that the 1872 alteration included, among other work, the addition of a third story and rear extension. I recommend that the proposed work will not damage or eliminate any significant architectural features, that the proposed work at the extended rear facade would only be minimally visible through a break in the street wall from Carmine Street and seen in the context of other modified secondary facades, that the proposed combination of these previously modified openings will remove plain brick piers and will retain the existing outer brick piers, thereby retaining a high solid to void ratio typical of rear facades on the block. That the design and finish of the metal multi-light door and window assembly retains a residential scale and will harmonize with existing fenestration at the upper portions of the facade, and that the proposed work will not detract from the special character of the building or the Greenwich Village Historic District Extension 2.
Thank you. And Vice Chair Master, would you second that motion?
Second.
Thank you. Mark, will you call the vote?
Commissioner Carroll.
Aye.
Vice Chair Master.
Aye.
Commissioner Chen.
Aye.
Commissioner Chu.
Aye.
Commissioner Ginsburg.
Aye.
Commissioner Goldblum.
Aye.
Commissioner Quimby.
Aye.
Jefferson. Commissioner Mahan.
Aye.
Commissioner Wilder.
Aye.
10 in favor, none opposed, the motion passes.
That's approved. Thank you. Move to the next item.
The next item is item number 5, docket number LPC 25-12168, an application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Manhattan, Block 573, Lot 30, 24 West 10th Street in the Greenwich Village Historic District. This is an Anglo-Italianate style townhouse built in 1856. The application is to raise the rear parapet and construct a rooftop addition.
Afternoon, Commissioners. Elected Elizabeth Roberts.
You're gonna have to speak up, yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Speak up.
Okay. "24 West 10th Street sits between 5th and 6th Avenues on the south side of the block. And we're located here in the Greenwich Village Historic District. Here are tax photos from 1940. Axonometric of the proposed addition that will be walking you through today. Here's an unfolded streetscape that shows you 24 West 10th Street. The collection of townhouses from numbers 20 to 38 were erected in the mid-19th century. They are unified with a continuous second floor brownstone and iron railing and share a common cornice line. The buildings were designed to combine what is described as a rusticated English-style basement with an Italianate style applied to the upper stories. These important features and collections of the townhouse create a unique and special composition that is important to the character of the streetscape that we, along with our clients, wish to maintain and respect. Our presentation today is for a modification to a certificate of no effect that was previously approved on April 11th, 2025. There are 4 items that we are requesting approval for with this application. At the front street facade, we are proposing to add a total of 4 planter boxes at each of the existing 3rd and 4th floor double hung windows. The planter boxes are to be painted to match the existing window frame and sash color. There's no irrigation system proposed. Also on the front facade, we are proposing to replace in kind the 5th floor existing casement windows. Hardware and frame profile will match the existing window units along with the window color. At the roof, we're proposing to raise the proposed penthouse addition that was previously approved at LPC staff level by 40 inches from a total height of 8'2" to a new proposed height of 11'6". This new height aligns with the roof line of an existing penthouse structure at 3020
30 West 24th Street. In addition, we are requesting approval for an aluminum steel non-combustible pergola structure attached to the penthouse, along with an extension of masonry chimneys and flues as required for clearances above the proposed penthouse structure. In the forthcoming mock-up photos I'll show you, neither the proposed pergola structure nor the increased height of the penthouse are visible from the street. And finally, we are requesting approval for a masonry extension above the existing cornice line at the rear facade. The masonry extension height proposed is 3'9" to provide the required 2-foot clearance above the roof. As we go through the presentations, we'll note relevant precedent projects and such with blue text. Previously approved work from the certificate of no effect from April 25 are shown in green, and the new features proposed and are noted in red. So here you see the front of the building. Again, this brownstone, yes? Okay, okay. Okay. So again, here's the kind of axonometric of the kind of roof addition. This is the existing front elevation as it currently stands. These are precedent projects that we'll be kind of referring to. This specifically is number 30, West 10th Street. And we are using the height of this penthouse to establish the height of our penthouse. From the rear facade, this is the existing back elevation. Again, this is the penthouse at 30 West 10th Street. And our proposed elevation, again, using the height of this penthouse to establish our height. Looking at the elevations a bit closer, you can see the FD&Y access ladders kind of on the pergola structure, or excuse me, on the penthouse along with the pergola structure, and then the rear facade masonry extension above the existing cornice line, along with the planter boxes and the proposed windows. Quickly walking you through the drawings. This is a demo drawing in the section. We're showing the front 5th floor window being removed. And then the proposed building section. And then quickly through the demolition plans. No changes, starting from the basement level, working our way up. No changes proposed here. Really only when we get to the 5th floor and then the roof. In terms of the proposed plans, again, no changes proposed here. Showing the flower boxes on the 3rd floor, 4th floor, and then the new casement windows on the 5th floor. And then the proposed roofscape. So this is the existing or proposed penthouse. The footprint is not changed from the certificate of no effect. The extension of the pergola structure is roughly 10 feet on the north side of the building and 6'1" on the south side of the building. And you can see kind of continuous planters and such that define the perimeter of the building. And then at the uppermost roof, again, you can see the penthouse and then the 2 pergola structures on either side. These are photos of the existing roof conditions. And then these are photos of the mock-up. So what you're seeing here in this first photo, you'll see the mock-up of where the penthouse was previously proposed, and then the extension added on top of it. And then you can see the pergola structure extensions on both sides. These photos show the parapet extensions and such included in the proposition. And then these are site photos taken along the West 10th Street streetscape from 6th Avenue to 5th Avenue. So starting with image number 1 on the west end of the street, working our way down towards 5th Avenue, with the photos here in the middle directly in front of the house. And at no time is the mock-up visible. And then these are photos of the roof mock-up from the rear yard. Again, it's not, the proposition is not visible. And then real quickly, kind of rendered street elevation. Here you can see a kind of combination of a stucco and aluminum structure set back from the street with steel glass windows. And the rear facade, again, the same material palette exists on the penthouse and pergola structure. And then just real quickly, relevant precedents for the penthouse height. These are the drawings from 30 West 10th Street. 34 West 10th Street. 36, 38 West 10th Street.
All right, do we have any questions, commissioners? Right, let's move. Yes, Commissioner Mann.
Just looking for a drawing. On the proposed elevations, at the very top, there's what almost looks like a screen wall. It's labeled new rooftop HVAC equipment. It almost appears to be cut off by the drawings. Is that where else does that show up? Because it looks like a solid object, but I can't find it elsewhere. Yeah, it's there as well.
It's here.
What is that? It's just lines that they don't.
Well, I believe the top of the line, the top of the form of the box that it's representing as the mechanical equipment is cut off. It is included in the mock-up photos.
You go to your proposed section, which is LPC 113. You can see it in section. It's not.
You can also see them here on the mock-up. Real quickly to the section.
Oh, so it must be a narrow rectangle, a narrow and long rectangle along the. Okay, thank you.
Okay, other questions? All right, we're gonna move to public testimony and we'll come back to you. And is there anyone in the room who'd like to speak on this item? Noting that there isn't, I will turn it over to Stephen to see if we have any remote participants.
Those joining us via Zoom who wish to offer testimony, please use the raise hand function. All right, seeing none, I will note for the record that Manhattan Community Board 2 recommends approval of the window boxes, provided that the design of the boxes as suitable to the building is verified by LPC staff, and approval of the rooftop addition and pergolas, provided that staff verify with a site visit that the additions are not visible from the public thoroughfare.
Okay, and I think I can speak for the staff and say that staff has inspected the mock-up and it is not visible. I'd like to turn to the applicant and ask if you'd like to add any final statement before we move to our discussion. Okay, and just one quick question about the raising the parapet at the rear. And I think it's partly to conceal the deck and the edge of the deck. And we've often seen people sort of cant the roof back there. And I wondered if you'd considered that or.
We have, and I've included, well, it's not in this presentation, but we have our certificate of no effect section that included the kind of eased or chamfered edge at the rear facade. Our clients would like to, at least propose the masonry extension for consideration, but we have a solution that has the chamfered edge as an existing condition, our back pocket to use.
Okay. All right, but is there a little corbelled cornice at the top and then this would be above that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Commissioners, any final?
Another question.
Yes, Commissioner Mann.
Again, in the proposed frontal elevation, I didn't catch it at first until the rendered elevation. There is what appears to be glazing almost inset into a parapet. Could you explain what I'm looking at there? Yeah,
That is a skylight that was approved with the certificate of no effect.
I see. Is that on a angled
It is.
plane going away from us?
Section and show you.
Oh, I see it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other final questions? All right, let's move to our discussion. Vice Chair Master, would you make a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Jefferson, would you second that motion?
No second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so this applicant has received a proposal, an approval for, at staff level for a rooftop addition and I guess canting the back over the decks to conceal the deck structure. And the staff rules limit additions to 11 feet floor to floor. And so this is slightly taller than that. And so it doesn't meet the rules for that reason, but it is just a little bit taller than the 11 feet and it is not visible from a public way. So we're looking at it just because it's a little bit bigger than 11 feet. And then we're also looking at the raising of that rear parapet to conceal the deck structure. Commissioner Chu, would you start this one?
Yeah, I think in general, I don't have any issues with this application. It's more about following through on the details at a staff level. I just want to make sure that skylight at the front that was just mentioned is detailed in a way that is minimally visible, as flush as possible. And I definitely support a slightly massaged condition at the rear parapet. I don't like it when we just kind of extend up because the bricks aren't even the same type of brick and it just doesn't look great. So
Okay.
if they could chamfer that or do something that respects a lower elevation and then sets back something, I'd be much more comfortable with that. Otherwise, I'm okay with this.
Commissioner Wilder?
Yeah, agreed. I'm okay with it.
Commissioner Mann?
I would just ask that the staff work with the applicant to confirm that everything that is extending above the bulk of the rooftop addition is also not visible or minimally visible. There's quite a lot of mechanical equipment, goosenecks, and so forth. Not to mention, it's a little hard to decipher. So I'd just like to ensure that's also minimally
Okay.
visible.
Yeah,
Thank you.
or not visible. And
Or
I
not
think the
visible.
mock-up included it and the staff was out in the site.
Great. Okay.
Commissioner Chen?
I echo the sentiments and the comment by the commissioners, working with the staff on the, especially on that rear parapet.
Okay. Commissioner Ginsburg?
I agree with fellow commissioners. I think either chamfering the rear parapet or potentially doing it in a different light material, either metal or fiber cement or something, so that the scale of the, because it just looks awkward the way it is now, but they can work with staff to resolve that.
Commissioner Goldblum?
I agree with Stephen's comments.
Commissioner Jefferson?
Same.
Vice Chair Master?
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Chu's comments.
And Commissioner Quimby?
Following behind everyone else.
Okay. All right. So I think we can make a motion, Commissioner Chu, to approve the rooftop addition and and to work with the staff on the rear parapet to resolve that in a chamfered or
Okay.
other discreet way. Doesn't.
In the case of LPC 25-12-168, 24 West 10th Street, Greenwich Village Historic District, an Anglo-Italianate style townhouse built in 1856. The application is to raise the rear parapet and construct a rooftop addition. I note that the building style, scale, materials, and details are amongst the features that contribute to the special architectural and historic character of the Greenwich Village Historic District. I recommend approval with modification, finding that the proposed work will not damage or eliminate any significant historic features, that the proposed rooftop addition will not be visible from public thoroughfares, that the proposed rooftop addition will be set back from the roof, front and rear facades, thereby maintaining a sense of the building's original form and massing, and that the design and materiality of the rooftop addition featuring beige finished stucco cladding and black finished metal windows and doors will be in keeping with the character of other rooftop accretions within the Row and Historic District. I want to note that we request that the applicant work with staff to revise the rear raised parapet detail to set it back or with the chamfer, and also that they work closely with staffing on the detailing of the front skylight on the canted existing facade.
Which is already approved at staff level,
Okay.
but to verify that. it's
Verify
not visible.
the detailing and the minimal visibility.
All right. Commissioner Quimby, would you second that motion?
Second.
All right. And Mark, will you call the vote?
Chair Carroll.
Aye.
Vice Chair Master.
Aye.
Commissioner Chen.
Aye.
Commissioner Chu. Aye. Commissioner Ginsburg.
Aye.
Commissioner Goldblum. Commissioner Quimby.
Aye.
Commissioner Jefferson.
Aye.
Commissioner Mahan.
Aye.
Commissioner Wilder.
Aye.
10 in favor, none opposed, the motion passes.
That's approved in part. Thank you. Move to the next item.
The next item is item number 6, docket number LPC 25-07969, an application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Manhattan, Block 625, Lot 33, 42 Jane Street in the Greenwich Village Historic District. This is a Greek Revival style row house built in 1846, and the application is to install a stoop gate.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Brian Blazak, Preservation Staff. So the subject property is 42 Jane Street, and the proposal is to install paired stoop gates. So the applicants have expressed concerns about people trespassing onto the stoop and would like the stoop gate for security and safety reasons, which they detail on this slide, some of the issues they've been having. This slide locates the property within the Greenwich Village Historic District. The house is at the end of a row adjacent to a garden, which is then adjacent to 8th Avenue, a commercial thoroughfare. So although 42 Jane Street is not on this map, which is located a few blocks to the north on the top here, this map shows a number of the location of a number of approved stoop gates in this historic district, as well as one that was present at the time of designation. So this map was taken from the 122 Washington Place presentation, which was approved with modifications by the Commission in September of 2024. So I think there's even been a couple more in Greenwich Village since that date. So the historic tax photo on the left and the existing condition photo on the right show the historic ironwork at the stoop and areaway. You can see the buildings immediately to the east were demolished, and the corner site is now the Jane Street Community Garden. So some more additional views show the stoop in the context of the row, as well as the existing ironwork at the areaway. Gates are proposed to match the fence in design, but not height. So this is another statement from the owners, again, just explaining that the gate will be installed at the bottom step for safety reasons, as well as some of the design intent of matching the ornamental ironwork at the areaway. And this elevation shows the proposed stoop gates on the right. The gates will be 3 inches shorter than the stoop railings, so the gate's going to be 39 inches and the existing are 42. And in comparison with the gate with the ironwork at the areaway. So it's going to match again in design. This slide just shows gate details and dimensions. The width, again and again, on the left and the right, that it's going to be a height of 39 inches as opposed to 42 of the existing ironwork. And then this is a proposed plan and details. So there will be a post adjacent to, but not attached to the existing ironwork. So this is not going to attach to the historic ironwork. And finally, just some examples of other approved stoop gates in the Greenwich Village Historic District. All within the district here. And so the applicant is here, Jesus Toro, to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions, commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Ginsburg.
The gates seem to be just under 4 feet wide. When they're open, how much clearance will there be on the sidewalk?
That's going to be Jesus Toro. That's going to be around 4 inches per panel, 4 foot per panel, sorry. So total width is going to be around 8 feet.
So there'll be 8 feet between the gate when open and the curb?
It's going to be 4, but it's going to have a self-closing system. So
Thank you.
yeah.
Other questions? Okay. Jeremy Woodhoff?
Jeremy Woodhoff, again speaking for the Victorian Society, New York. We return to our usual position on stoop gates, as this house isn't subject to being swarmed by fans of a popular television show. It also appears that there are few commercial uses nearby that might generate unusual amounts of rowdy foot traffic. These gates violate the fundamental urban function of stoops, which is to mediate between the private house and the public sidewalk. The gates create a social and psychological barrier beyond the physical one. They are anti-urban, no matter how well designed. In this case, we note that the stoop is exceptionally wide and the sidewalk is narrow. In the open position, these gates will block a significant portion of the already narrow sidewalk. There are few, if any, other stoop gates on the block. The application, we feel, should be denied. If, however, the presence of gates is approved here, we think the proposed detailing matching the historic ironwork is fine. Something simpler will more likely call attention to itself as being out of place and therefore distracting from the district's historic character. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak on this item? Right, noting that there isn't, I'm going to turn it over to Stephen Thompson to see if we have any remote participants.
Those joining us via Zoom who wish to offer testimony, please use the raise hand function. All right, seeing none, I will note for the record that Manhattan Community Board 2 recommends approval.
Thank you. So there were some comments about the gate at the stoop and the appropriateness of it. And would you like to respond to those comments?
I would like to state the issue described by the homeowner. I would like to invoke the New York Real Property Law, section right to exclude, which states that as a homeowner, you have the legal right to prevent others from entering or staying on your property without consent. We are facing a big safety, security, and hygiene issues because of the presence of homeless and stranger people sitting, sleeping, smoking pot, and leaving stools and dregs, and food debris, which attracts bugs and rats at the staircase located at the entrance of the property. This is happening every day, and as I mentioned, it is causing safety, security, and hygiene issues to the family. As a first instance, we installed a chain in order to prevent homeless and stranger people from entering on our property, but it didn't work as we thought, as people jump the chain and continue accessing on our property. It has created a big concern to us since we have met these people, homeless and stranger people, on our way out from home. We have asked them to move in a respectful way. However, they react in an aggressive way to us. This situation has brought a lot of panic and bad feelings to our family. For that reason, we're asking to the Landmark Preservation Commission for the permit to install the small gate, the stoop gate at front of the property, which makes us feel safer, cleaner, and more secure from homeless and stranger people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, commissioners, any final questions on this one? Yes, Commissioner Wilder.
In one of the images, it shows a tree pit in front directly to the left side of the, or right side facing. What's the distance between that and the stoop? Yeah, right there. Could that potentially be closed if the gate is open?
It's going to be, hold on, I would like to confirm this. Going to be around 3 foot, 11 inches.
All right, so if there are no other questions, we'll close the hearing and move to our discussion. Commissioner Chu, would you make a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Quimby, would you second that motion?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the hearing's closed and we'll begin our discussion for this gate at the bottom of the stoop. And we can see there is a chain there now. The homeowners have expressed concerns about security and the commission has, this is something that we have been hearing more and more, particularly in this historic district. And so while historically, I think we tried to encourage chains in lieu of gates, we have approved a number of them, as Brian showed on the map in this historic district, particularly on streets that are where there is a variety of building types, some commercial activity, or near a corner where there's commercial activity. And so we have an application here before us today. This one has to its one side other row houses, but it's very close to the corner. And at the corner, you've got the community garden and then a larger building across the street and some commercial spaces at that corner. So it is at the end of the row and really sort of engaging with the corner at 8th Avenue and the diversity of streetscape there. So that's one thing to think about. The applicant is proposing a design that would relate to the historic ironwork, but not attach to or damage the historic ironwork. And it's low to keep it below the newel posts and certainly below your eye level view of the entry. So those are all things to think about here. Commissioner Goldblum, would you start this one?
Sure. So I think that there's really two issues with this gate in particular and with these gates in general. The first issue is the design of the gate, and I think we see here the result of what is calcifying into a formula, and it's fine. Repeating motifs, keep it low, keep it separate, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's all fine. The next piece of it is need. It seems to me that even though this is not a criterion we apply in all cases, need is a factor that we're considering here rather explicitly. If people were putting these up just because they like the look of the gate, we would probably say, no, it's being done because there is a change in the culture of street use in this particular neighborhood that is leading to friction. And so I think that I will take the staff's word for it here, but I think that it's appropriate based on that need. But I think we should think about having some kind of inspections by staff or visual presentations by homeowners, some methodology to determine this need. Because, just because my brother-in-law has it on the other block doesn't mean that I should get it on mine. There has to be a way for us to determine appropriateness based on need. And I think we need to think about that. But I think I can approve this.
Okay, Commissioner Ginsburg.
So in general, agree with Commissioner Goldblum, and I think having some photographs of just the issues they have might be helpful. I have two issues, although I think I can live the fence as designed. I think it might be better if it was simpler and not a direct recreation of the fence behind, but maybe something closer to the fence around the stair. The other one, which is more practical, this gate when open is going to stick out 4 feet. And it might make sense to put a center post in and have them double gates or something so that there was less blocking of the sidewalk. I understand that it will automatically close, but if someone's walking down the street and someone opens the gate to get out, it could be a little awkward. And that may be an issue with the building department. So, but that can be worked on with staff.
Okay,
So I can approve this.
thank you. Commissioner Chen.
Just to follow up with that, not just the building department, but the number of lawyers in this town. But I agree. I think that, this is reflecting a change in times and there's a need and is sort of being practical as well.
Okay, Commissioner Mann.
I agree with the other commissioners. I can find this approvable.
Commissioner Wilder.
I agree.
Commissioner Chu.
I agree as well, appropriate.
Commissioner Quimby.
Appropriate as well.
Vice Chair Master.
Yeah, I agree. And I think to address that comment about, making it a little bit simpler, one thing you could do is remove the top pickets. But I think that they can work with staff to refine the details of the gate.
And Commissioner Jefferson. Okay. All right. So why don't we do a motion to approve it, working with the staff to refine the details and sort of leave it broad like that.
Right. Regarding LPC 25-07969, 42 Jane Street in the Greenwich Village Historic District, the application was to install a stoop gate. I note that the building style, scale, materials, and details are among the features that contribute to the special architectural and historic character of the Greenwich Village Historic District. I recommend approval with modifications, finding that the proposed work will not eliminate or damage any significant architectural features, that the presence of a modest stoops gate assembly at the end of a row of houses adjacent to a fenced park and close to a commercial thoroughfare will not detract from the unity or character of the row or block, that the installation will be anchored in plain brownstone with a minimum of penetrations and is easily reversible, and that the proposed ironwork will match the historic ironwork at the stoop and areaway in terms of design, details, material, and finish, but will be lower in height, thereby helping the ironwork to harmonize with its context while also being seen as a later and subordinate addition. However, the applicant will work with staff to simplify and streamline the design.
Thank you. And Commissioner Ginsburg, would you second that motion?
Second.
Mark, will you call the vote?
Chair Carroll,
Aye.
Vice Chair Master,
Aye.
Commissioner Chen,
Aye.
Commissioner Chu,
Aye.
Commissioner Ginsburg,
Aye.
Commissioner Goldblum, Commissioner Quimby,
Aye.
Commissioner Jefferson.
Aye.
Commissioner Mahan,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilder.
Aye.
With 10 in favor, none opposed, the motion passes.
All right. So that's approved. Thank you. And we'll move to the next and final item.
So moving on to our last public hearing item of the day, and I'd like to note the final public hearing item for Chair Carroll. Before I get started, I'd just like to say quickly on behalf of staff, thank you for your service, Chair Carroll, and best wishes as you move on to your next chapter.
That's lovely. Thank you so much. And you are an incredible staff collectively and each of you individually. And it's been a pleasure and a privilege to work with you. And you're going to all do a wonderful job going into the future.
Thank you for that. The final item is item number 7, docket number LPC 25-09191, 1009 Fifth Avenue, the 1009 Fifth Avenue individual landmark in the Metropolitan Museum Historic District. This is an application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Manhattan, Block 1493, Lot 69. This is a Beaux-Arts-style mansion designed by Welch, Smith, and Privet and built in 1899 to 1901. The application is to reconstruct bulkheads and modify balustrades.
Hello, my name is Christina Redmond. I'm from Midtown Preservation, Architecture, and Engineering. We're the exterior restoration consultants for the building. We work under Cal Bay Contracting. They're the construction managers for the building, along with another team of professionals, Bendix Engineering, Cardulo and Architecture and Engineering, and Mikowski Studio. And I'm here to discuss modifications to an elevator bulkhead and bulkheads at the east of the property. So if you see here on the site plan, on the very west side where the hand is, this is where the elevator bulkhead is existing currently. And over on the east side, there are 3 bulkhead structures that are existing that we are also modifying. The property sits right across from the Metropolitan Museum of Art on the corner of Fifth Avenue and this slide here is some photos of existing conditions. The first slide, you can see at the very top corner where the hand is here is the east side of the building. There's existing bulkhead structures, and you can see approximately about 8 feet of an existing stucco-clad bulkhead with a copper gutter. You can also see it a little bit closer at the zoom photo here. This is the existing bulkhead structure that we will be modifying. And this is more of a bird's eye view of the east bulkhead assembly of bulkheads here that we are modifying. Essentially, they are in a state of disrepair, so they will be essentially demolished, but portions will remain, including some of the interior structural components were determined to be sound by the structural engineer. One of the existing features that was original to the building is a brick and limestone chimney right here, and that chimney will be maintained. And part of the demolition process will further expose that original historic element. And you can see the assembly right here, just above the 5th floor area, looking over an existing bulkheads will be removed. This is a view approaching the building from Madison Avenue. You can see a very small area of the bulkhead that is slightly visible. And this next photo is not an existing condition, but it's a prior photo that's probably circa 1980s. That a portion of the bulkhead on the east side did exist, and on the west side, the elevator bulkhead exists. This other photo right here is a current photo. This is the existing elevator bulkhead at the west. And you can see here there's a mechanical ductwork that kind of snakes over the bulkhead. Skylight here was probably added, I would say, in the 1980s. This photo here is looking from the plaza at the Metropolitan Museum. A pretty far distance as you're standing closer to the wall of the museum. Stucco-clad elevator bulkhead here, so quite small from this distance. This slide here is just to show additional photos of the west bulkhead, which is the elevator bulkhead that you can see from the plaza again, photos 1 and 2. And this blue outline here represents areas in which this elevator bulkhead becomes visible. It becomes visible, as you're standing a little further west of the building just across the street, which is a much taller building. And then as you move south, it also remains visible until it's basically obscured by the existing mansard roof structure at the west. So this is a elevation. It's an elevation from, let's say, the neighbor's window across the street. And what's shown in red represents what we're demolishing. So you can see here the 3 different east bulkheads that are being removed, the brick and limestone chimney that will remain. Elevator bulkhead on the west that bulkhead is also in a state of disrepair, so that will be essentially removed along with some guardrails and the partial guardrail just to the east. And the ductwork that snakes above that bulkhead will also be removed, reinstated. This is that same elevation, but this green outline here represents the proposed construction. So on the east side, the bulkhead, it will be essentially one bulkhead set further back from the street, and it will be slightly shorter than the most tallest point of the highest bulkhead component that I'll show you in a later slide. What we're introducing at the elevator bulkhead to the west is a small walkway at the front of the elevator bulkhead. So right here, this is a photo montage. It represents an image zoomed in. It's not what a person would actually see without binoculars or a zoom lens. And you can see in this photograph the walk around in front of the bulkhead. We're proposing a light beige color to kind of blend into the background. And of course, we'll work with landmarks to. This is a plan view. Again, the red represents what's being removed. These are the three bulkhead components being removed at the east. At the west, the elevator bulkhead, of course, is being removed. A portion of the skylight needs to be modified. Some wood steps just to the south of the bulkhead are being removed. What you see in this drawing here are two components of the decorative copper parapet that are being taken out. And what we intend to do is parapets, the copper insets. They will be preserved, and in this slide here, the green represents what's being installed. But in this slide here, you can see the two ornamental sections of copper that are being installed in places that now require a guardrail. So the walk around in front of the elevator. This slide here, you'll see that the steps go down and lead you to the interior of the building. What we decided to do is to relocate these steps further east so that we can hug the bulkhead a little bit more with the stairs coming up. And the purpose of this walkway, so that this bulkhead, which is being enlarged slightly, it's enlarged about 1'8", moving south towards the neighbor's building, and a few inches in the east-west direction. The elevator will be code-compliant, and it will be slightly larger within the interior to allow for wheelchair access. And this walkway allows for wheelchair access to the Upper West Terrace. And here on the east side, again, this is the one combined bulkhead. Again, it's set back further from the street. So if you see, it's roughly going to hold this line here. This component is going to be completely brick and limestone chimney. So this is the east bulkheads here that we're proposing. I'm sorry about that. And here on the left, you'll see this is the brick and limestone chimney that will be further exposed once these components are removed. What we intend to do for the enclosure at the east bulkheads on the roof where mechanical equipment will sit is it will be enclosed with small louver blades to both hide the equipment but allow for air circulation. We're looking to have that painted in a gray or beige color depending on what looks best, and we intend color mock-ups to make that decision. You can see the sky exposure planes here from East 82nd Street, and you'll see that the bulkhead overall has become a bit shorter. And of course, that one component closer to the street is being omitted entirely. This shows the sky exposure plane for the west elevator bulkhead. You can see that originally the bulkhead roof was not visible from East 82nd Street, but the ductwork that snakes over it was visible. And here in the proposed elevation drawing, you'll see that the ductwork is being abandoned, but the bulkhead is being made taller, roughly about 2'4". So it comes into view a little bit from East 82nd Street, but no more than the ductwork that's currently. This is another sky exposure drawing looking at the other direction, where the copper set within the copper parapet is being cut. One back here and then one to the side here where the former entrance to this terrace was. This is just a larger elevation view of the east bulkheads. Again, the louvers enclosing the mechanical equipment at the rooftop of this bulkhead will be divided into smaller segments to keep it within a scale relative to the building components. And this here goes back to the elevator bulkheads, the elevator bulkhead at the west side, and you can see a section view of the walkway that cuts in front of it. So this slide shows both a side elevation view of the guardrail for the walkway that encircles the elevator bulkhead. And the materials for this guardrail will be a powder-coated stainless steel for corrosion resistance. And again, we are proposing a light beige color to blend with both the bulkhead, which will have a stucco finish, and kind of fade into the background and blend with the neighboring tower just to the south. So the guardrail infill panels, what we are proposing is a perforated metal that will have a very lightweight appearance, almost veil-like, and they will sit within very slender posts and top and bottom rails. You see in this rendering here, these represent the veil-like perforated panels. And what we're proposing, where it comes close to the existing copper parapet, is a very small piece of glass, which would not be visible from public thoroughfare. But the intention of that piece of glass is to set back a little bit from the same plane that the guardrail sits at, so that we could preserve this baluster that as part of the copper parapet and the urn that sits atop it. So it would be a frameless piece of glass. So the guardrail would not appear to crash into the balustrade.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have questions, commissioners? Okay, we're going to move to testimony and we'll come back to you. Jeremy Woodoff.
Jeremy Woodoff speaking again for the Victorian Society, New York. This extraordinary Fifth Avenue mansion needs to be treated with the utmost care. It appears that some of the changes, such as to the elevator bulkhead, will not be visible, and if they are, they will be a slight improvement over the existing. However, we could find no clear rendered or photographic views, especially from the east along 82nd Street, that show what will be visible as a result of the proposed work. The visibility must be clarified and minimized when work of this sort is proposed for an individual landmark. We also find the removal of a section of the elaborate copper railing at the west terrace to be inappropriate. Some other way should be found to gain access to the terrace. Perhaps a section of the railing can be hinged, or it can be relocated to a place where it would remain a protected feature under the Commission's jurisdiction. That concludes the Victorian Society's testimony on this application, but I would like to take a moment, if you will allow me, to say a few words about Chair Carroll, as this is her, of course, her last hearing, and not only that, the last application of the last hearing. I give myself leave to do this because I was on the staff of the Preservation Department at the Commission on the day that Sarah came to the agency for the first time. And her job in the Preservation Department was, I believe, Public Information Associate. But we all knew her as the new phone day person, because what Sarah was going to do was answer the public telephone calls day in and day out for week in and week out. And the preservation staff, which was overworked back then, just as it is now, was thrilled with that because it meant they would not have to take a day every week or two to do phone day and could spend all of their time doing preservation work and issuing permits. I think it's unusual for a person to spend an entire career at one small city agency. And I'm a bit surprised that after spending months doing phone duty that Sarah decided to stay. But she did, and she made a career here. And that requires a great deal of dedication both to the agency and to the cause of historic preservation. Those of us, we preservationists outside the agency, understand that because despite our criticisms of decisions that the agency makes and doesn't make, we appreciate and have a great affection for the agency, and we appreciate the work it does for the city. I can assure Sarah that even after her departure, we will continue to watch very closely, and we will continue to criticize when we feel that's warranted. And finally, I just want to say that I think I speak on behalf not only of myself, but of many of the preservation staff, alumni, and others in the outside world who interact with the commission, that we wish Sarah the very best in her post-LPC career. And perhaps there is a small town in Maine with a struggling preservation commission that could use some assistance.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. Very, very nice words. Thank you. And I think for a period, you were actually my supervisor when you were a deputy director. And I learned much from you, and I certainly hope that you will remain vigilant and continue to watch the preservation change in the city and comment on it. It's an important part of the entire process. So thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Do we have any other speakers? Oh, yes, Zainab. Sorry, you do have a sign-in sheet. Thank you.
Chair Carroll, commissioners, my name is Zainab Turan, and I'll be speaking on behalf of Friends of the Upper East Side. The Benjamin Duke House is a distinguished and striking example of Beaux-Arts architecture. It is an individual landmark, part of the Metropolitan Museum Historic District, and stands directly across the Metropolitan Museum of Art. As one of the last surviving private mansions on Fifth Avenue, the building holds significant architectural and historical value. Its refined design contributes meaningfully to one of the city's most iconic and heavily visited streetscapes. While Friends supports the new tenant's need for accessibility at the rooftop level of this landmark building, we have concerns about the proposed bulkhead, enlargement, and addition of an elevated walkway platform. The proposed metal railing and safety fence, which would be visible from the street, would be a visually intrusive element that undermines the mansion's architectural integrity. There must be a more discrete and contextually appropriate solution to meet accessibility requirements. We urge the applicant to explore alternatives, drawing on examples of well-executed, historically sensitive accessibility interventions and other landmark buildings to inform this design. We also object to the removal of any historic materials. Finally, we seek clarification regarding the proposed window replacement, which was included in the application presented at the community board meeting in July. Thank you, and thank you, Chair Carroll, for your service. We will miss you, and I will miss you seeing you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on this application? Noting that there isn't, I'm going to turn it over to Stephen to see if we have any remote participants.
Those joining us via Zoom who wish to speak, please use the raise hand function. Our first speaker will be Kaylee Johnson.
Hello, Commissioners. This is Kaylee Johnson with the Historic Districts Council. HGC finds this proposal to be mostly appropriate and modest. We fully support the proposal to make the terrace wheelchair accessible. However, we believe that attention should be given to the guardrail design to minimize its visual impact. We also object to the removal of historic materials such as the copper balustrade, which should be incorporated into the building instead of being fully removed. Further, our committee found the presentation to be unclear in the full scope of work being proposed. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else joining us via Zoom who wishes to speak, please use the raise hand function. Seeing none, I will note for the record that Manhattan Community Board 8 recommends denial.
Would you like to respond to the comments we've heard?
I'd like to mention that in terms of the windows, the ownership has decided to install all wood windows. So we will no longer be proposing some of the windows as metal clad, and therefore the window replacement work can be approved at staff level. To address the other questions, one question regarding the visibility of the elevator bulkhead from East 82nd Street. In this rendering here, you'll see that what's fronting East 82nd Street is just the stucco surface and a metal roof that will be painted to match the stucco surface in a light beige color. So if you see in this sightline view here, what's above this line represents the area that will be visible from 82nd Street. So it's just a portion of this top area here and the edge of the roof. And that's the only visible portions from East 82nd Street. Then again, I just wanted to pull up the photo montage, which is a zoomed in view. It's not what you'd see from the street. So this view here is actually zoomed in. Oops. It's a zoomed in image of this photo here. This photo here was taken against the building wall of the Met. This here is a zoomed in image for the purposes of showing a 3D rendering of the bulkhead and the guardrail in front of it. Oh yes, in regards to the community's concerns, Community Board 8, originally we had proposed that this wraparound walkway had a squared edge, but we decided to chamfer the corner a bit so that there would be less massing visible from the plaza of the Met. So you can see that chamfered edge here. And what we also did is we decided to relocate the stair that goes down to the interior further east so that we could hug the walkway, hug the bulkhead a little bit more and reduce the massing of the visible portions.
And just to confirm the visibility, so from that view is a zoom in from 2 blocks away. So if you were on 82nd Street, you would just see the top of that bulkhead above the mansard roof, right?
Right. So from the sidewalk areas, you can't see the walkway. You have to be on the plaza of the Met to see it.
And are there any views from the east on 82nd Street looking back toward the west, the oblique views in that direction?
So from 82nd Street, you can't see the elevator bulkhead at the west. You can only see the east bulkheads. You can only see the very upper portion of the east bulkheads, but you can't see the elevator bulkhead.
Okay, yes, Commissioner Goldblum.
A couple of things. First of all, is this elevator required by code for access to the roof? Why do we need access to this particular portion of the roof?
So it's for a wheelchair-bound individual. Right
Who
now,
owns the house? Who's a tenant in the house?
yes, it's a family member.
Okay, but so that would mean that since this is this a single-family house?
It is a single-family house.
So this is not a required roof access. This is something that they would like, but it's not required. Is that fair to say?
So I'm not the code consultant in this regard, but it's for a family member so that the family member can use the Upper West Terrace.
Got it. And
in conjunction with.
what is the handrail or the guardrail made of?
So the guardrail around the elevator bulkhead is
Yeah.
going to be stainless steel, but it will be powder coated.
So it's opaque.
So if you look on the bottom left picture, that's an example
Perforated.
that's example of the material. So it
Why
has
do you think that's the best material?
so we considered some other options. For example, cables. We did not want to consider horizontal cables because children can use it as a ladder. In terms of vertical cables, we considered that. And we also considered other types of cabled assemblies that almost look like netting in a sense. And then we also considered wire mesh, in a cross shape. One of the things about having this metal panel is that we would attach it to a frame, an angle and a U-shaped frame, and those components could be welded to the vertical posts and the horizontal top and bottom rail. And in welding it, we can kind of stiffen the assembly, but at the same time not show a bulkiness. So by having it flush with the panels and having the vertical posts very slender, a solid stainless steel instead of hollow, we can make the main vertical and horizontal elements very light feeling while offering some rigidity to the overall assembly.
Okay, thanks.
And then to go back to the other questions that one of the speakers had regarding the copper parapet that surrounds the upper west terrace above the mansard, the two components that are being removed are not being discarded. They will be maintained at the building. So one will be moved just at this opening right here, and the other one will be installed where a new edge requires a guardrail. So they will not be discarded. And one of the reasons that the walkway could not be put else, there's two reasons actually. We considered putting the walkway and the door just to the east, but the reason that we could not do that is that at the interior, there is a historic elliptical stair. It's a grand stair. It's a central element at the interior of the building with the original iron railings, and the owner wanted to maintain that because it was an important feature. So because the elevator flanks that stairway, we cannot move the door to the elevator just to the east. And it's just not a big enough elevator to have two door systems. We also couldn't have the door to the elevator at the south because right now the width of the catwalk is quite narrow, and we needed to make the footprint of the elevator bulkhead bigger to be code compliant. In doing that, we had two choices. We can move it north, or we can enlarge it in the south direction, or we could enlarge it in the north direction. And the choice was enlarge it in the south direction so that it would be less visible from the plaza of the Met. So that resulted in us having to have the door to the elevator to the north and then the walkway to the north.
All right, any other questions, commissioners? All right, we're gonna wrap this one up and have our discussion. Commissioner Quimby, would you make a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Thank you. And Vice Chair Master, would you second that motion?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Hearing's closed, and we're going to begin our discussion on reconstructing these two bulkheads. It seems that from 82nd Street, you'll catch the tops of them looking over the roof of the building. And then from the long view, you have more of a view of the western bulkhead, the elevator bulkhead, which will also have the walkway, and then the copper panels will be salvaged and reinstalled just adjacent to their current location. So we'll begin our discussion. Commissioner Ginsburg, would you start this one?
Oh, yes. This seems reasonable to me and appropriate, and to make the modification to allow for the larger elevator and the handicapped access, and just seems like the upgrading of systems. So I can find this approvable.
Commissioner Chen?
Yeah, given the nature and the site context, the restrictions, I think that the logical and is minimal visibility in terms of that corner with the stucco, so I can find it appropriate.
Commissioner Mann?
This appears to be a modest improvement over what is there. Do you find the detailing of this bulkhead on the screen right now, the western one, to be a bit fussy and utilitarian? And I would encourage the applicant to work with staff. For example, perhaps a profiled eave which casts a shadow is not required. Perhaps a awning over the door is not required, and the guardrail infill material could be refined so as to be less visible. But I think those are details that can be worked through with staff.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Wilder?
Yeah, I think it's appropriate.
Commissioner Chu?
Yeah, I think apart from minor, some detail work, as Frank had just mentioned, I would say that the applicant should really work with staff on the color, because I looked at several views in the photos. The existing color is very light and it stands out, and you don't want it to stand out. And there's the rendering that makes it look more like the masonry color of the building behind, which seems to hide it better. So I do think the impact, what's being proposed is a minor increase on the west one in terms of mass than what's there now. The one on the east seems to be smaller, which is good. But again, the color impact of that rendering right there is probably the ideal, where it matches the background.
Great. Commissioner Quimby?
Yes, I believe the applicant should work with the staff to work out the final details.
Vice Chair Master?
Appropriate. But Sarah, I just wanted to say that I think you're an extraordinary leader. And what makes you an extraordinary leader is not that you're intelligent, articulate, and knowledgeable, but what makes you extraordinary is your kindness, how you treat all the applicants and the commissioners with dignity and respect. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Appropriate.
And Commissioner Goldblum?
I think it's appropriate, and I think Frank's comments, I share his thoughts on how to simplify. I do want to note, single-family houses do not require elevators, as far as I know. So any notion that this is code compliant, thus justifiable, is in my mind worth questioning, at least. Therefore, the increase in visibility is equally questionable. I think that the railing material should be lightened. Perforated stainless steel will not, if you paint it beige, the paint will come off in about a week and a half. So I think that the applicant should work with staff on refining that as well to something that's a little less visible. And we'll have time for additional things to talk about with you, but I do want to note that it's totally appropriate that we end a 31-year career on a project like this, because it's so exemplary of what your job is, what our job is, you know, it's like focusing on this, and then on the same day, we're, you know, designating new districts and uh, goodness knows what else. But to end on something so, you know, with a whisper, I think that's kind of poetic.
Poetic.
And to come full circle from this morning, you know, we don't get hung up on technicality, but the word that she used herself this morning is empathy. And I think that speaks about what she does.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, so I think we can make a motion to approve it, and we'll ask them to work with the staff on simplifying the bulkhead and refining the details of the railing and the bulkhead, and will require final review and approval by the staff of the color.
And I've had the opportunity to join in. It's been a joy working with you, and I'm going to miss it. With regards to LPC 25-09191, 1009 Fifth Avenue, 1009 Fifth Avenue Individual Landmark Metropolitan Museum Historic District, a Beaux-Arts style mansion designed by Welsh and Smith and Provat and built in 1899 to 1901. Application is to reconstruct bulkheads and modify balustrades. I note that the building style, scale, materials, and details are among the features that contribute to the special architectural and historic character of the Metropolitan Museum Historic District. I recommend approval, finding that the proposed reconstruction of the bulkheads will not damage or eliminate any significant architectural features, that the material of the bulkheads comprised of a light beige tinted stucco and light gray metal railing will relate well to the materiality of the building front facade and will be in keeping with the type of rooftop accretions often found on buildings of this type, age, and style. That only a small portion of the addition will be visible over the primary elevation from a distance in context with larger building behind. That a portion of the copper balustrade to be removed at the mansard roof to facilitate the relocation of the catwalk will be salvaged and reinstalled at the former gap in the balustrade. And the proposed work will not detract from the special architectural and historic character of this individual landmark of the Metropolitan Museum Historic District, working with staff to simplify some of the detailing and the exact color of the bulkhead is part of this approval.
Thank you. And Commissioner Chen, would you second that motion?
Second.
Mark, will you call the vote?
Chair Carroll,
Aye.
Vice Chair Master,
Aye.
Commissioner Chen.
Aye.
Commissioner Chu,
Aye.
Commissioner Ginsburg,
Aye.
Commissioner Goldblum.
Aye.
Commissioner Quembe,
Aye.
Commissioner Jefferson.
Aye.
Commissioner Mahan,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilder.
Aye.
With 10 in favor, none opposed, the motion passes.
All right, so that's approved, but please continue to work with the staff on those details.
All right, thank
So
you.
that concludes our public hearing for August 12th. Our next public hearing is September 9th. And so we have a little bit of a break. And I just want to say again, what a privilege it has been to work with you all, to serve alongside you, and along with the staff who are incredible. And I think many people say, and it's true, that it's the greatest preservation staff in the nation. And this is the largest and strongest preservation commission in the nation. And you all are incredibly dedicated to the mission and the work of this agency. And I look forward to seeing you all continue to do your work. And as I said earlier, really shape the commission and its mission and the preservation landscape and the urban landscape of the city. So I will be watching from a distance, and thank you again for all of the great time and work we've done together. Thank you.